For Cancer, the first days of 2026 do not arrive loudly. They do not explode into your life. They come quietly, like a gentle emotional wave brushing the inside of you, just enough to make you pause in the middle of time that has been moving too fast. You may notice you feel more sensitive than usual. Your mind drifts at times. Your body feels tired, yet your heart stays awake. Very small feelings, very deep ones, begin to surface, not clearly, not needing explanation. This is not a sign that something is wrong. This is the moment Cancer's intuition begins to speak in its own language. It does not rush you. It does not demand instant understanding. It simply asks you, softly, to listen. And if you have found yourself wondering why you feel different right from the start of the year, the opening of this story may help you recognize what is truly awakening within you. For Cancer, after that early year wave of intuition gently touches something deep inside, another movement begins to form. Not loud, not dramatic, just the feeling of standing still inside a familiar life and suddenly realizing you have gone too far for others for a very long time. Everything around you looks the same. Work keeps moving. Responsibilities keep calling your name. Yet inside, a very clear point has been lit. A quiet signal saying it is time to return to reality, not to harden yourself, but to live in a way that is more honest with your own energy. Cancer has always known how to carry weight. You carry other people's emotions. You carry family expectations. You even carry things that were never spoken out loud. For years, you learned how to endure in silence, believing that if you were patient enough, kind enough, everything would eventually be okay. But as the new year opens, you begin to recognize a different kind of tiredness. Not exhaustion from doing too much, but fatigue from giving for too long, with no space left for yourself to breathe. At this point, reality does not arrive to hurt you. It arrives like a mirror, gentle, yet impossible to avoid. You begin to look at how your time is spent. You notice how your energy is used each day. You remember the promises you made simply because you did not want to disappoint anyone. And a very important truth becomes clear. You do not need to do everything. Not every sadness belongs to you. Not everyone who leans on you requires you to hold them up. For Cancer, boundaries were once the hardest thing to speak aloud. You feared that saying no would make you seem cold. You feared that stepping back would break connection. But 2026 offers a completely different understanding. Boundaries are not walls. They are the lines that show where you end and where someone else begins. When boundaries are clear, love does not disappear. It becomes healthier. You start learning how to slow your responses. You no longer rush to answer. You no longer rush to take on more work. You no longer rush to absorb responsibility just because someone else feels overwhelmed. Each time you pause, a small wave of guilt may pass through, but very quickly, another feeling arrives. The feeling of breathing again. The feeling of being inside your own body. The feeling of respecting your own life force. This is the season when Cancer understands that self-care is not selfish. It is the foundation that allows love to last. When you are no longer pulled in every direction, you begin to do what truly matters more clearly. Work becomes simpler. Relationships lose their confusion. You no longer need to prove you are good by constantly sacrificing yourself. You simply live honestly, live truthfully, and take responsibility for yourself first. Reality now becomes a serious but reliable companion. It helps you reorganize your life, from small things like rest and routine to deeper decisions about what deserves your long-term commitment. You stop asking what others need from you and begin asking what truly nourishes you from the inside. And as you grow steadier in the real world, something quietly beautiful happens. The Cancer heart does not dry out. It deepens. It becomes calmer. And it becomes stronger. You love without exhausting yourself. You care without losing who you are. You show up without forcing yourself to hold everything together. From this very grounded strength, another subtle movement begins to open within you. One no longer focused on carrying or controlling, but on healing deeper layers, places you once believed had been forgotten. And when you allow yourself to listen to that movement, the story continues on its own, soft yet powerful, drawing you further along the path of understanding who you truly are. For Cancer, there's a very specific moment when you realize that healing is no longer sitting quietly inside you. It begins to move, softly, yet unmistakably, like an old wound that was once carefully protected, now no longer aching when touched. You do not forget what you have been through. You are simply no longer held back by it. Before this point, you were doing something very difficult, something few people ever noticed. You sat with yourself. You allowed the less beautiful emotions to exist. You faced sadness without running from it. You accepted what once hurt you without needing to explain it away. That healing unfolded in silence, slowly, quietly. At times, it even made you question whether it was truly working. But now, Cancer begins to feel a clear difference in how you stand in the world. You no longer react the way you once did. Memories that used to tighten your chest now pass like a light breeze. The feeling is still there, but the weight is gone. You look back at the past with calmer eyes. No blame, no denial, just an understanding that everything shaped who you are today. And you realize that your task was never to stay with the pain, but to carry its wisdom forward. What stands out most in this phase is that Cancer does not need to prove. Healing has happened. There is no need to speak loudly, no need to display strength. The change shows itself naturally in the way you choose to stay or to leave, in the way you stop trying to please those who no longer move at your rhythm, in the way you pause at the right moment when something no longer feels aligned with your heart. You begin to understand that strength does not mean forcing yourself forward. Stability does not mean becoming rigid. Cancer's new strength comes from softness that has been healed, from the ability to feel deeply without being pulled under, from allowing yourself to move ahead without carrying every old story as a burden. At this point in the journey, the past is no longer a prison. It becomes a teacher. What once hurt you taught you how to protect yourself. What once broke you gave you the ability to stand again with deeper understanding of who you are. And that creates a very different kind of energy, an energy of readiness. Being ready does not mean rushing forward. It is the quiet, knowing that you have grown enough not to return to old cycles, that you can move ahead without constantly checking what you have lost. You allow the future to open without the past blocking the doorway. Cancer now carries a strange, gentle peace, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer fighting yourself. You understand that healing is not about erasing wounds. It is about learning how to live well with what has already happened. And when you walk with that understanding, each step has weight, but it does not feel heavy. It is within this calm state that a deeper current of emotion begins to flow. Not loud, not rushed. It carries you further into layers of memory and feeling you were not ready to touch before. And as you allow that current to continue, another door opens quietly, leading you toward a deeper part of yourself, where old connections wait to be seen again by a heart that is finally strong enough to truly understand. When Cancer has become steadier within yourself, something very subtle begins to happen. Not from the outside, not because anyone brings it up. It rises from within, from a place where emotional memories were stored so deeply that they now begin to gently stir, like a room that has been closed for years, finally touched by light. You may not be able to name the feeling right away. You only know that your heart feels more sensitive, your inner world softer, and thoughts you believed were long asleep begin to visit you again in the most ordinary moments of life. Cancer carries emotional memory, not only what you personally lived through, but what was passed down to you, through family, through the way you were raised, through stories never fully told, yet always felt in the heart. Some sadness was never truly yours alone. Some responsibilities you carried far too early, not because anyone asked you to, but because you cared. And during this time, all those layers of memory begin to be seen through a different lens. No fear, no avoidance, just the quiet recognition that they are present because they want to be heard. You may suddenly remember an old sentence, a familiar look, a feeling that once defined home, sometimes joy, sometimes absence, Sometimes the sense of having to grow up too fast. These memories do not return to hurt you. They return because you are now safe enough to touch them without being pulled under. Sensitivity in this moment is not weakness. It is a sign of emotional maturity. Cancer begins to see how many emotions were carried on behalf of others, worries that were never spoken, sorrows with no place to land, emotional responsibilities quietly passed from one generation to the next. You once believed this was duty. Now you understand that not everything needs to be carried forward. Some burdens have completed their purpose. Some stories deserve to close with gratitude, not endurance. This process feels like water moving slowly, beneath the earth, unhurried, deep and real. You do not need to do much. Only allow feelings to come and go, without judgment, without trying to fix them. When you allow yourself to feel fully, the cleansing happens naturally. What was once compressed begins to loosen. Old pain no longer asks to live with you every single day. It grows lighter, as if it has finally been returned to where it truly belongs. Here, Cancer learns a deeply human truth. Loving family does not require self-erasure. Connection does not demand endless endurance of old patterns. When you heal your relationship with memory and lineage, you do not cut ties. You transform them. You keep the love. You release what is no longer necessary. And this not only frees you, it creates space for healthier relationships to form. Cancer's sensitivity now becomes a gift. You feel others without losing yourself. You understand old wounds without letting them define the present. You stand within the current of memory with a heart steady enough not to be pulled backward. From that steadiness, a gentle warmth spreads, the feeling of belonging to yourself. As old emotional layers soften, a new inner space opens. There is a fresh sense of peace, a deeper connection to your own heart. A very real rhythm begins to lead the way toward what is coming next. And within that rhythm, you begin to understand something clearly. Emotions are not only meant to be felt, they are meant to illuminate the path ahead in a way that belongs uniquely to Cancer. And within that rhythm, you begin to realize that emotions are not only meant to be felt, they are meant to illuminate the path you are walking in a way that belongs uniquely to Cancer. That light is not blinding. It is warm. It is gentle. It arrives exactly when it needs to, like the moon rising into a quiet night sky, asking no permission, seeking no confirmation. It only asks that you are there, still enough to look up. As the full moon rises higher, something inside you becomes clearer. Not the clarity of logic, but the clarity of the heart. Emotions that once felt vague begin to take shape. Questions that lingered in the background receive simple, honest answers. You no longer want to avoid what you feel. You no longer try to explain it away. You allow emotions to exist, the way tides rise and fall, naturally, truthfully. There are moments when you realize how long you have stayed silent. Silent to keep the peace. Silent to avoid disappointing others. Silent to hold everything together. But beneath this moonlight, a very gentle truth steps forward. Your heart needs a voice too. Not loud, not dramatic. Just honest. Honest about what brings you joy. Honest about what brings you sadness. Honest about what you need in order to feel safe. Cancer has always understood the depth of love. But now, love is no longer something you give away in order to be accepted. It becomes a source flowing from within, steady, unrushed, unlimited. Compassion expands, beginning with yourself. You start offering yourself the same gentleness you once reserved for everyone else. And as you do, a sense of belonging appears. Real, quiet. Belonging is no longer tied to meeting expectations. It no longer depends on approval or praise. It is simply the feeling of being at home in your own skin, at ease, at rest. You realize you do not need to reshape yourself to fit any mold. Your heart, with all its depth and sensitivity, has always been enough. Under the full moon, what was once hidden is gently revealed. Not for judgment, but for understanding. You see clearly what nourishes you and what slowly drains you. Emotional truth no longer feels frightening. It frees you. It gives you permission to choose again from a very deep place, to stay with what grows your soul, to release what exists only out of habit. A new sense of safety begins to form, not because everything is resolved, but because you trust your ability to support yourself. You trust that no matter how strong emotions become, you can remain with them, listen to them, and move through them without losing your direction. This trust is not loud. It is quiet, like moonlight reflected on water, yet strong enough to guide the way. When emotions are honored, they become wisdom. They tell you when to move forward and when to pause, when to open your heart and when to keep gentle distance. You begin living by the rhythm of your heart, not to escape the world, but to show up within it more fully. And in that presence, a new balance slowly forms, where the heart and real life begin to speak the same language. The moonlight will eventually soften, but what it awakens remains. It stays in how you listen to yourself. It stays in the small choices you make each day. It stays in the calm you carry as you step into spaces that once made you unsteady. And as you continue forward with that light inside your heart, the path ahead no longer feels unfamiliar. It feels deeply known, as if you always understood you would arrive here at exactly this moment. And as that light sinks fully into each breath, Cancer begins to understand something essential. You do not have to choose between your heart and real life. They were never meant to stand on opposite sides. For a long time, you learned to separate them, believing emotions needed to stay in the background so everything could keep moving smoothly. Now, you see it clearly. When the heart is left behind, the road becomes heavier and direction slowly fades. You step into everyday life with a different awareness. Work is still there. Responsibilities still exist. But the way you stand within those roles has changed. You are no longer acting out of fear of loss, no longer pushing yourself just to earn recognition. You begin bringing your feelings into every decision, every choice, every relationship. And strangely enough, things become clearer, not more complicated. Cancer carries a very particular kind of strength. Now, not the strength of control, not the strength of force, but the strength that comes when the inside and the outside finally match. When what you do reflects what you feel, energy stops leaking away. You no longer have to convince yourself to keep going. Motivation rises naturally from a deep inner agreement with who you are. You may find yourself looking back at old goals through new eyes. Some things that once mattered deeply no longer move your heart, and other things you once overlooked begin to glow with meaning. This is not confusion. This is refinement. It is the moment you adjust your path to align with who you have become, not who you once believed you had to be. When the heart is placed where it belongs, responsibility no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a natural extension of care and personal values. You work not just to complete tasks, but to create something with depth. You show up not just to be present, but to truly connect. And in each of these moments, you sense it clearly. You are moving at the right rhythm. You are facing the right direction. Something new is quietly taking root inside Cancer. It does not rush toward results. It does not demand immediate proof. It grows through patience, through small, consistent choices, through the courage to trust that your emotions are a reliable compass. Gentleness no longer weakens you. It strengthens your foundation. It gives you a steady ground from which you can build something lasting without sacrificing your peace. You begin to notice you are standing at a very meaningful point in the journey, no longer pulled backward by the past, no longer pressured by the future, just moving through the present with awareness and quiet trust. Trust that when heart and purpose walk together, the path opens on its own. No forcing, no proving. And as you continue walking this way, a deep sense of calm spreads through you. The feeling that everything is settling into its proper place, that you are not late, that you are not early, that this moment, with everything you still carry and everything you have released, is exactly the right moment for Cancer to live fully into your purpose, in a way that is gentle, yet never small,